Hello everyone. In this section, we will discuss about NumPy matrix library. So these are the topics we are going to cover. First, we will discuss what is NumPy matrix library. After that, we will discuss about the various functions of matlib. So first, we will discuss what is NumPy matrix library. Basically, the NumPy module consists of a matrix library, and the NumPy matlib is used in NumPy for matrix functions. So this function returns matrix values as output. It also uses the array elements as input, and it configures the matrices instead of ND array objects. Now let us briefly understand and discuss various functions. So the first function is numpy.matlib.empty. So basically this function is used to return a new matrix of input shape and type without generating entries. So this is the syntax of matlib.empty, and within this function there are three main parameters. The first one parameter is shape. This parameter defines the shape of the empty matrix. The next one parameter is dtype. By default the value is none and it specifies the data type of the matrix. The last one parameter is order. It specifies the memory layout of the copy. By default it takes the C value, which means the layout of the input array as closely as possible. So this method always returns uninitialized entries. Now we will see an example of a numpy.matlib.empty function. So here is the example. In this example, first I have imported the numpy library. After that I have imported the matlib library for matrix functions. Next, I have created an array with random data by using numpy.matlib.empty function. In this, I have assigned the dtype parameter along with the order and the shape of the given matrices. So after executing this code, the output comes this. So our next function is numpy.matlib.zeros. Basically, this function is used to return the matrix of a given type and shape initialized with zeros. So here is the syntax of matlib.zeros, and within this we have assigned three parameters in it. So basically the first one parameter is shape. This parameter specifies that it is in the form of a tuple and it is used to define the shape of the matrix. The next one is parameter is dtype. By default it takes none value and it specifies the data type of the matrix. The last one parameter is order. It specifies the memory layout of the copy and by default it takes the C value. Now let us see an example of how to use the numpy.matlib.zeros function with an integer value as an argument. So here is the example. In this example, first I have again imported the numpy library with the alias name np. After that I have used the matlib function, imported the matlib library for matrices. Next I have used the numpy.matlib.zeros. In this I have assigned the shape along with the data type, that is int, and the order, that is C. So once you will execute this code, the output comes the 4 by 3 matrix and all the elements is zeros because we have used the numpy.matlib.zeros. In this case, in matrix all the values will be 0. So as we have discussed about the numpy.matlib.zeros function, similarly in the case of numpy.matlib.ones, this function is used to return the matrix of a given type and shape initialized with one's value, which means in matrices all the elements will be one's values. So here is the syntax of matlib.ones. In this I have used the three parameters in it. The first one parameter is shape. This parameter specifies that it is in the form of tuple and it is used to define the shape of the matrix. The next one parameter is dtype. By default it takes none value and it specifies the data type of the matrix. The next one parameter is order. It specifies the memory layout of the copy and by default it takes the C value. Let us see an example of how to use the numpy.matlib.ones function with an integer value as an argument. So here is the example. In this example, first I have imported the numpy library and the matlib library After that, I have used the numpy.mathlib.ones function for getting the ones value in the matrix. For this, I have used the shape, that is 4 comma 5. Number of rows is equal to 4 and number of columns is equal to 5. And the d type, that is int. So after executing this code, the output comes the matrix in the form of ones value. So after getting the ones value in matrix, now we will discuss about the numpy.mathlib.identity. An identity matrix is a matrix with all the diagonal elements will be 1 and rest of the elements will be 0. So this function contains a main parameter, that is n, and it specifies the size of the output identity matrix and it is represented by n. Now we will see an example by using this function. So in this example, first I have imported the NumPy library with the Elise name np. After that I have imported the matlib library. So now after that, to getting the identity matrix, I have used the np.mathlib.identity and mentioned the n number of size in it. So after executing this code, the output comes in the order of the square identity matrix with the size of 3, that is 1 1 1. This means the diagonal elements will be 1 and rest of the elements is 0. So our next function is numpy.mathlib.i. This function is basically available in the NumPy package module and it always return a matrix with ones on the diagonal and the rest will be the 0 element. So our next function is numpy.mathlib.i function. Basically this function returns a matrix with the diagonal elements initialized to 1 and 0 elsewhere. So here is the syntax of numpy.mathlib.i function. The first one parameter is n. It defines the number of rows in the output matrix, and the next one parameter is m. It specifies the number of columns in the output matrix and by default it takes none value. The next one parameter is k. It defines the index of the diagonal. The last one parameter is d type. By default it takes none value and it specifies the data type of the matrix. Now let us see an example of how to use the numpy.mathlib.i function with an integer value as an argument. So here is the example. In this example, first I have imported the NumPy library with the Elise name np and the mathlib library. After that I have used the single parameter in a numpy.mathlib.i function. As you can see that I have mentioned the value, that is 2. So as you can see that after executing this code, the first matrix is 1001. Same in this case, I have used the n, m and k values in it in the numpy.mathlib.i function. So the second matrix is 010001. Now I am getting the positive k value with integer data type in numpy.mathlib.i function. So as you can see that the third matrix is 01000010 and 001. So our last function is numpy.mathlib.rand. So basically this function is available in the NumPy package module and it always return a matrix of random values with a given random range values with a given random value, and the range value starts from 0 to 1. So here is the syntax .mathlib.rand, and within this parenthesis I have used the args star args parameter and it defines the parameters that it represents the shape of the output. So if star args are given as an integer, then each integer defines the size of one dimension. If star x is given as a tuple, then this tuple gives the complete shape. Now let us take an example and check the working of numpy.mathlib.rand function. So in this example, first I have imported the numpy.library with the Elise name np. After that, to getting the random values, I have used the np.mathlib.rand function and mentioned the shape in it 3 comma 3, which means the matrix will be 3 rows and the 3 columns. So as you can see that the matrix with random value will be this. So with this we have completed the NumPy matrix library.